over a period of time, developed an interest in private equity and in investing. And that's where I ultimately settled in my own business. When I came across Investec, it was because I needed a corporate financier, because I was involved in some transactions for my business. Early on, realized that Investec had something different and distinctive in the way that Investec did business. So in the early days of mergers and acquisitions and some financings, I worked with Investec. And in 2003, got to be involved in a transaction as South Africa was changing, where corporates were requested to bring in black shareholders because we had a track record of working together, making money together. Investec invited me to participate in their share participation scheme for people of color. So started working even closer to Investec. I'm still a client, both of the private bank and the investment bank, and over time got closer and closer. And then became a director? Became a director in the early 2000s of the bank in South Africa, and the group, I think, director of the group around 2005. Got to work with the Mavericks for quite a long time, Stephen, Bernard, and Glenn. And I must say it's been an interesting ride, because the overall culture and posture of Investec is that of people who want to really do something and do something big, but also do it in a meaningful way. Most people will know Stephen as the face of Investec, and yet he's always had a team of people around him, and he's always cared about the teams that have worked with him. So I learned a lot in the early days of just observing how Investec works, what's important, and in particular how people are treated at Investec and how people are valued. Because if your people are valued, if they have the freedom to operate, if they have the authority to do what you have employed them to do, you can do so much more and so much better. Now we have an opportunity with the team that I have around me to take this platform into its next stage of growth. And we're excited about that opportunity. So as we go over the next 6 to 9 months, I hope people will see us taking significant decisions about the business, as opposed to hedging and not being confident enough to make calls. So for my team and for the leaders in the business, I expect of you to make the calls that are necessary in your area. I expect you to take the risks that need to be taken. Do I expect that you'll get all the calls right? Of course not.
I always think as well, and it's not just because of your wonderful logo,
but
I also think it's a competitive market. You dare to be different.
There's an edge to being Investec. There's a distinctiveness. In South Africa, people would say there's even an arrogance. I don't think we want to be arrogant, but we want to be confident. We want to be front-footed, and we're optimistic about the future. Equally, in this country, in every area we are positive about the future. We believe we can bring about the impossible, but that is what Investec is about. There's an attitude about us, not an arrogance, an attitude and a sense of belief. So distinctive, edgy, have an attitude, but long-term and partnership-oriented. That is what we hope we bring to every relationship.
Part of the key to the modern and the flexible side of it, the futuristic side of it, is technology. Technology
is one of those capabilities that can give us a much stronger competitive position than we otherwise would have. Obviously, it allows us to serve our clients better, to improve on the experience that they have. Are we where we need to be technology-wise? Certainly not, but we are not a laggard at all. We continue to make significant investments in technology. We've just appointed a global head of digitization and technology, just to make sure that as we sit around the executive table, that we always have a sense of what is possible. When you look at the speed with which fintechs and tech companies move forward, that they develop an idea, they execute very quickly, and they execute at a cost that is a fraction of the cost that big companies execute at. We have a lot to learn.
You mentioned the demerger earlier, and I know you've talked
Yeah.
about it internally. Are you happy with the way things are tracking? Are you confident this will make everything a bit slicker?
The rationale behind it is that we want to focus and simplify the business. So that's why we thought we have two very successful businesses, very limited linkages. Let's release these businesses into the market for them to pursue their growth strategies and trajectories. We are tracking well. We had said that we expected the demerger to be completed over a 12-month period, which would end in September. So we are still on track for that. I wish we had all the approvals we needed so that we can move forward quicker. We don't want any uncertainty around this. So touch wood, we get the approvals and we get moving with the demerger. I mean, our view is that wherever we are, we must be relevant. We must have the right scale. So that would be what guides our decision-making around growth and expansion. In this market, we are still fairly small. We think there's a great runway for us to grow our business, both in the private banking space, in the corporate banking space, in the wealth and investment management space. So we think there's a lot of runway in this country. In South Africa, we obviously are quite big as a corporate. Even there, we think there are opportunities that we can exploit. As an example, what we're trying to do there is look for areas adjacent to our core offerings of private banking, wealth and investment management, and corporate banking. For instance, we're looking at fairly distinctive life insurance offerings in that market. We are taking the mid-market corporate sector very differently. So there are opportunities. There will even be opportunities beyond just the South African base of clients that we have on the continent for us to support our clients as they grow. Beyond the UK and South Africa, we obviously have a business in Australia. We have a business in the US, but these businesses, US, Australia, and a few other places, really support what our UK franchise is trying to do. So when you get to a level of scale, that allows you to move beyond the current capabilities and regions. We will look at that. In the long term, the South African business has to do more on the African continent. This business, in the long term, has to have some kind of a position in the East. It may not be for today or tomorrow. I think any business that has any sense of longevity and success over 100 years or so needs to position itself towards the East. You will know that our asset management business has a strong base in that area, Hong Kong, Singapore, China, and they are investing more and more. For the bank and wealth business, probably when Dave and myself and the team hand over to the new leadership, we will say to them, look ye east and conquer.
I've rarely been so rapt during an interview, just listening, going, oh my word, this is phenomenal. And Fani, thank you so much for sharing so much with all of us.
Thank you.
Your joint CEO, Fani Titi.
Thank you.